Yo, what's going on, everybody? You are watching the Bulls Report by Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, I want to do a full in-depth breakdown on your Chicago Bulls roster heading into the 2026 NBA trade deadline, going over 5 players who are likely to be traded away from this team and discussing what they could possibly go for, what teams are connected to them, and if I would be selling these guys with the trade deadline approaching. But hey, if you guys are subscribed to the channel here, make sure you give me a C red down below in the comments section. Want to give you guys a shout out on a future show. And we will be doing more and more Bulls videos as we do approach NBA trade deadline. So you guys don't want to miss a thing. Or on your favorite basketball team, hit that subscribe button today. We're actually less than 50 subs away from 14,000 here on YouTube. So I do appreciate it. And everybody who has hit that subscribe button so far, give me a C red down below in the comments section. All right, so I think if I have to put my money on it, one player to be traded away from the Chicago Bulls before the deadline, it's got to be Coby White. Now, obviously the rumors around Coby White have been flying all around, specifically with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They want to get that scoring guard, that 3-level scorer who can play next to Anthony Edwards, and Coby White fits that archetype, and he fits that bill of a guy that could play next to Ant. Now, what could the Bulls get back? There was a report out there that the Bulls want an unprotected first-round pick. Newsflash for the Bulls front office, you're not getting that. And that is just typical Bulls fashion, where they wanted to trade LaVine. They wanted to trade DeRozan, but they couldn't trade them for their asking price. Ended up trading those guys a year later. Ended up getting less in return of what they could have previously gotten for them. But with Coby White on an expiring contract, the Bulls should try to move him with no matter what you could get. Like if you could get a top 10 protected first-round pick and a young player, sign me up. Because, yes, Coby White, he's a very talented basketball player, probably has the highest skill level on this entire Bulls roster. I don't really think he contributes to winning too much at a high level. The guy can't guard. He takes terrible shots. I made this comparison. He reminds me of Zach LaVine. I just don't really think he contributes to winning whatsoever. I mean, if you can't move your feet and if you can't guard as a guard in the NBA, you have to be an elite offensive player to even play out there. Like, you got to be on the level of Steph Curry, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, one of these guys. Where on Coby White, yes, he's a good offensive player, but he doesn't reach those levels. So I would trade Coby White in a heartbeat, try to get a first and a player. Sign me up for that deal any day of the week. But number 2 here, we're going to go with Dosunmu. Ayo's one of my favorite players, not only on the Bulls, but the entire NBA. Obviously, Chicago's very own, a two-way player. He's great in transition. We know what Ayo's all about. Now, in terms of if I think the Bulls should deal Ayo, I'm going to lean towards no, because I think the Bulls have 2 untouchables on their team. I think it's Modest Buzelis and Ayo Dosunmu. And really, with where the Bulls are at, they should have no untouchables besides Modest Buzelis. So if the price is right on an Ayo trade and they end up dealing him, I would be okay with that. But I would set the asking price at an all-time level where, like, even other NBA fans are looking at a Bulls and whoever trade for Ayo, and they're like, oh, the Bulls actually fleeced them. They got a steal of a deal there. But Ayo shoots the 3-ball well. He guards. He plays very well within an offense where he can be like a 4th or 5th option, where like Coby White, he needs the ball in his hands. And if Coby White's your primary decision maker, I would probably, or you're probably not going to win too many games, which obviously the Bulls, that's been their case for the last couple of seasons. Now, also, I didn't mention, I don't think Josh Giddy's an untouchable player. I will stand by that. I think Giddy's had a really good year, but I just don't think he should be a hold up any trade. Like if a team's willing to offer you 2 firsts for Josh Giddy, I think you should trade him in a heartbeat, but that's not going to happen. The Bulls aren't going to deal him since they did give him the massive contract this offseason. Now, number 3, I think Nikola Vucevic, if there's any time for the Bulls to trade him, it would be now. He's on an expiring deal as well. Vuce, I think he is an absolute net negative out there on the basketball court. And, I was texting my buddies about this, all Bulls fans back in Chicago, and I was saying the perfect ending to the Nikola Vuce era in Chicago is this dude hitting about 5-game winners this season to keep the Bulls out of the lottery. Like, this guy, he just doesn't play winning basketball. He's got a terrible attitude, too. Like, if I was his teammate, I couldn't stand playing with that guy. He's yapping all the time. Now, I will say, one thing about Vuce I did like this year is when, his teammates were celebrating a completely fluky, lucky win. Vuce was saying, like, why are we celebrating? We played some awful basketball today. So I do like Vuce's process a little bit more than I have in years past. But, hey, send this guy to a contender. Have them, deal with the Vuce, drama that we see every single night here. I mean, this guy can't guard whatsoever. He couldn't guard me coming off a pick and roll. He has very slow feet. And just offensively, his game, it's not 2026 NBA basketball. Like, he is a catch and shoot, big. He's got a decent push shot, but I would just still end up trading him. But you guys let me know. Do you think the Bulls will finally trade Nikola Vucevic? This is probably the millionth video we've done here on the channel. For the last 2 years covering the Bulls here at Chat Sports, we have talked about trading Vuce a million times. But will they finally do it? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Now I do want to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Now the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action right before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Now, Prize Picks has a brand new feature where it allows you guys to find your community on Prize Picks, and with the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. I also have a new feature called Early Payouts. So if your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use promo code CLNS. Get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, number 4 here is a guy who I'm in between on the Bulls trading. This is Trey Jones. I absolutely love Trey Jones. I think if you talk about like comparing him to Kobe White, where I think Kobe White is the opposite of a winning basketball player, like Trey Jones is on the opposite end of that spectrum where he is a winning basketball player. He beats guys off the dribble at a high level. He fights his ass off defensively, but I think I would be more willing to trade a guy like Trey Jones for the main fact that you could probably get a decent haul. Like if I was a contending team and I saw a guy like Trey Jones available out there on the market and you need a backup point guard, this guy would fit the bill 100%. Like the Bulls were playing him at the 2 this year and he was guarding 2s at a high level. You can't keep him in front. He makes the right read over and over again. And if you could somehow like swing a first-round pick for Trey Jones, who's on a very good contract, I would consider it. But I would also appreciate the Bulls if they're like, you know what? We'll keep Trey Jones as the backup point guard. We'll have him, Modest, Io, Giddy. That kind of be your 4 that you try to build around here. So Trey Jones kind of split, kind of similar to Io, where it's like, hey, if teams are calling on those 2, set the price at an all-time high. You get blown away by an offer. Hey, go ahead and take it. But number 5 here, we're going to be talking about sticks, Jaylen Smith. Jaylen Smith had an awesome year. The on-off splits for Jaylen Smith are absolutely fantastic. Now, I will say, the on-off numbers for Jaylen Smith, I think is more of a Nikola Vucevic stat than a Jaylen Smith stat. Because I saw this going viral on Twitter, and people were like, oh my God, Jaylen Smith, look at the impact he's making. Yes, he makes an impact. He's a hell of a player. That's more of a Vuce stat, because when Jaylen Smith is obviously in, Vuce is not in. And, we know what happens when Vuce is not in the game. The Bulls play really good basketball. But, I could see another contending team calling for Jaylen Smith if you need a backup center, a guy who can space the floor, run some pick and pops with whatever guard you have on that, organization. He would be, a solid player to bring in. So, maybe you could swing a first-round pick, a heavily protected pick for Jaylen Smith. Who the hell knows? But I just hope the Bulls make moves, because I don't want to go into another offseason where it's like, okay, what are the Bulls going to do? We didn't trade anybody. We don't have draft capital. And again, also, if you are going to trade any of these guys, value picks instead of players. But as, the Bulls have been doing things, we'll probably trade Io for Jonathan Kuminga or something along those lines. So you guys let me know. Over under 2.5 trades for the Bulls before the trade deadline. Give me an O for over. Give me a U for under. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Also, please help us out. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We'll get on out of here. As always, go